Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Amira and I'm here to bring you the Take 5 art prompts for the month of October. So this month the prompts were chosen by the lovely Roxanne, who is Dawn with the Moon on Instagram. Please do get on over there and check her out. She is the bringer of many interesting art journal spreads and layouts. I really love her work. Roxanne, you rock. So the prompts this month are, I'm going to put them up here for you as well, but they are crayons, book pages, muted colors, plants, and something see-through. So I am, because the book pages was a prompt, I thought I would do a little bit of a collage sequence. So I have just got this kind of ragtag art journal that I put together using a little bit of watercolor paper plus a little bit of scrapbooking paper. It was kind of like my let's just put together some papers and play kind of journal. I do love my Dina Wakley 6x6, and so I was kind of creating a 6x6 kind of album, but then I actually did my love of book binding, bookmaking, odds and ends scrapbooking paper that was left over, and so I just cut them all down and made them into a 12x6 format and stitched them through and added a few watercolor pages and made this lovely kind of 6x6 journal. So this is just a homemade journal that I've made. Anyway, so on with this month's layout. So I had this piece of music paper plus some old book pages, like from the 1920s, and I just tore them up and stuck them down with, I think that's not matte medium, that's Mod Podge, and I am actually using one of the paper dolls by Tim Holtz, and then I've just got some ephemera pieces here that I thought were, quite funny, and what I decided to do was put down, so a little girl who was just looking really pretty and was told to sit down by her tutor, and so she's busy doing nothing. So the quote here says, "Hello, I'm busy doing nothing," and then I've got a little bit of this is my jokester inside coming out here, but so a little quote going, "What? You can't sit around doing nothing." But it's so interesting how kids are kind of expected to sit around and do nothing, and adults are not. You're expected to just do. And so this was kind of my play on me reminding myself that, it's okay to be busy doing nothing. It's okay to do nothing. And all my life I've been this achiever of always doing something. And so me doing nothing, it's like, what? Doing nothing? So I kind of channeled it into my inner child. And so my inner child who it's okay to be seen as doing nothing. So doing nothing. It's okay for me to be doing nothing because it's my inner child that's doing nothing. It's not me. I'm really quite busy. Anyway, this is kind of just me having a play. Like I said, when I sit down to art journal, it's just me getting out of my head and playing and arting and being creative and relaxing at the same time. So I quite love how this is looking at the moment. Like if this was just my art journal and I wasn't part of this collab, I would probably maybe even just leave it right here. I really like how mute the colors are, and I love how sparse it is, and there's lots of white space and there's lots of book pages and torn little bits which are like quilty, but I do have to go on and add some more prompts, so let's see how this turns out. So for the prompt of crayons, I'm using my Dina Wakley scribble sticks. Now I don't know if you noticed, but what I did when I collaged everything down, I actually put Mod Podge all over the entire page. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to seal it so that I could actually create muted colors. Now, which is one of the prompts. Now, the Dina Wakley scribble sticks that I'm using here are quite bold, and so I didn't think it fit the bill for muted colors. So I thought if I seal the page, I will then be able to activate the color and remove it with a baby wipe, which is what I do. So what I'm doing here is I'm just choosing colors that are kind of analogous with the muted colors that I used on the left hand side, on the right hand side from the die cuts. And what I'm going to do now is reach for a stencil and a baby wipe, and I'm now just going to remove some of the color and leave the design of the stencil. And actually this is one of the most beautiful things about these crayons. Like, it's this one and the Tim Holtz distress crayons as well. Because they're water soluble, they go down, they smudge really nicely. You can move them around, play them with water, and then you could also remove them through a stencil and create that pattern. So I absolutely adore this technique, and it's one that is very, very it's very effective in creating a pattern for your background. I really loved how that looked on the left hand side, and as I was sitting there, I was just very conscious that the right hand side was now really stark white. And so what I'm going to do here is do the same thing and try to remove and try to create that stencil in the background in the same manner. So the next prompt is to use something clear, and I just have some see-through packing material that came with one of my stickers, so I'm using that. So always use what you've got from your packaging. And what I've decided to do is to use it as the carrier for the quote. And so the quote is a really good one, which I found in a quote book that I picked up at the dollar store, and it says, "Great is the being who has not lost the child within." And yes, that's me. I realize every so often that when I'm working all the time, I yearn for like quite simple things, very really sweet things, really kind things, really, and we are the only ones who can take care of ourselves, really. So in being creative, I allow my inner child to be loved, and so I quite love the moments when it's just me and myself and I and my inner child in my craft room, and even in the purchases that are quite childlike. When you see a really cute teddy bear, or you see a cute t-shirt with like a teddy bear on it, or whatever it is, things from your childhood that come up, they do bring up a lot of memories and some good times, and I do find that that is quite healing for me. So these are the times where I know that I need an extra bit of self-care, because that brings up a lot of emotions from within. So I do hope that you do take some time to take care of yourself and give your inner child a little bit of love, because sometimes that inner child has a different type of thinking than your adult mind, and sometimes when you're finding yourself quite stubborn or quite childish in behavior, it is your inner child inside bringing up an unhealed or a burden that they've been carrying all this time. So really important to just do the things that your inner child is asking for at times. So anyways, so what you saw me do there was just to cut up the quote and to add the glue underneath and glue on top, and then I wiped away the glue from the clear surface. Now what I'm doing is just pulling out some prompts, some leaves to fulfill the plant prompt, just some die cuts that I'm using here, and you'll see me put a little bit of glue just behind where the words are, so that you don't see the splotchy gluey mess. This is the art glitter glue, and this stuff is really great. It dries quite clear and it doesn't leave any marks anyway, but I usually apply it that way anyway, so that you don't see any glue seeping out or beneath any clear surface or vellum or whatever you're using. So those two die cuts look really nice at the top right and the bottom left. I decided to use one more, which is a sticker at the bottom, and it just really grounds the whole quote down. So I love how that turned out. Really love how this looks at the moment. I left this in to show you how I feel like I screwed it up. So I wanted to outline the little girl and some of the ephemera with some black crayon, distress crayon, but I really felt like it lost that sweet, muted, kind of innocent feel to it. So I'm going to show you the magic of sealing your page in. Especially when you're using water-soluble crayons. So what I did here was I'm using the white crayon, and I just loved how this worked on the left-hand side. It added to the whimsical, very childish, sweet, innocent feel of the whole layout. I did outline each of the words here, and I love how that turned out. So it really pulled the quote out of the page. But I really didn't like how I had smudged it all around her on the right-hand side. So what I did was I went back in with the baby wipe, and I just wiped all that black, and it just comes off so beautifully. I did very quickly go back in and add a little bit of color, and then I took away some of the color with the stencil so I can create a pattern background. And so I was really happy that I was able to get that back. But I left this in to show you that even though you feel like you stuffed something up, do go back and give it a go, because it's just really easy to change. Even though you don't like what you've done, you may be able to salvage it in other ways. So do give it a go, and don't be afraid to try new things, because you just never know whether it's going to look good or not until you do. So I hope you enjoyed this layout. I really appreciate you watching. If you are interested in joining, I want you to use the hashtag Take5Art and hop on over to Instagram and watch what the other girls have done. I'm going to leave a link below. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you in my next video.